After 3 years of driving around 50,000 miles all over the US and camping over 50 nights in our rooftop tent, it was in desperate need of repairs. I had a big move from California to the UK, and before shipping it across the Atlantic, I had to fix the outer shell of my RoofNest Condor XL. There was some plastic that was bubbling, and I had a few other minor repairs inside the tent to do. Stay tuned to the end of the video to see an update and the plans that I have for the future of my rooftop tent now that I'm in England. So first of all, welcome to England. I have this weird setup going on here because a lot of my house is in boxes. It's been a little busy with a 3-month-old and our dog and moving into a new place with all of our stuff. So this is kind of the only clean space that I have in the guest bedroom for the moment. But I'll go ahead and get started on what we did first, which was fix the outer shell liner. Although I parked my car in a garage, it still had some damage to the outer shell, where the thin layer of plastic was peeling away and bubbling in some spots. According to RoofNest, they have now fixed this issue, but I reached out to RoofNest to see if they would help in fixing it, and they sent me a Raptor liner kit to improve the shell and make it more durable. Unfortunately, I also had to buy a few extra things. I ended up having to buy a spray gun that was not included in the kit, as well as rent an air compressor in order to spray the liner on. And when I say I actually mean my husband Dominic, because I was 8.5 months pregnant when we were doing this. 10 out of 10 would definitely not recommend. I literally gave birth to my daughter 6 days after filming this. So I really wasn't involved as I would have liked to have been, but at least I can show you the process and hopefully help others that are doing the same thing. We started sanding the shell in order to flake away some of the plastic lining and give it a nice rough base for the liner to adhere to. Dominic started sanding it by hand, but then soon realized an orbiting sander would be way faster, so we rented one from Home Depot along with the air compressor. Then I cleaned off the top layer of grit and removed the rubber from the outer edge of the liner. I was told by RoofNest that the rubber edge is actually just cosmetic, and so it won't affect water coming in. And the rubber was actually warping in places, so I decided to remove it. And we can decide later if we want to replace it, but for the moment, I'm just leaving it off. Also, all the products that I'm mentioning, to the Raptor liner, to the spray gun, to the rubber seal, I'm linking them in the description below if you are interested. Then Dominic taped everything that didn't need the liner, which was the rubber and the cloth straps, and the RoofNest logo, and a couple other little parts. And although you may not need to go full protection like he did, there were some really strong chemicals in the Raptor liner, so it might be useful to have some ventilation and some protective clothing. And because I was pregnant, I kept my distance during this part while he was spraying. So on to the reveal. I am really happy with how it turned out. Honestly, I think it looks even better now than when we originally bought it. It looks more rugged and like it will be able to last a lot longer in more extreme climates, which is good considering I live in a wet climate now. I'm gonna go back a few months from when we took the RoofNest off my Subaru in the US for the last time. My sister-in-law and my boyfriend were actually the last ones to use my RoofNest, and they used it during a very rainy and very snowy trip to Yosemite and Sequoia. So when they got back, we took the RoofNest down and we let it air out in my garage for a few nights. And then I got working on some internal repairs inside the tent. Unfortunately, I don't actually have this footage. I think I accidentally deleted it or something. I don't know. I was 7 months pregnant, so who knows what happened. But the repairs that I did was I fixed the internal light strip. It kept sliding in and out of the holding. If you have a RoofNest from like these kind of years, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's essentially just a light strip and it slides in and out really easily, which is very annoying when you have to try and feed it through. I also super glued the rubber tips onto the window struts because they kept falling off as well, and I actually lost a couple of them. So with the ones that were remaining, I super glued those on. So for the future plans of the RoofNest, I mentioned in my RoofNest review video that I want to buy a trailer and build it to have pull-out drawers and to be able to put the tent on top. I have done some small home projects before, but nothing on this scale before. So this will definitely be a learning curve, but I've recently been looking on Facebook Marketplace, and there are several options that keep coming up for sale around our area, but I'm not exactly sure what kind of trailer would be best suited. I would love it if you could share below if you've got any sage advice or experience or just words of encouragement, as I have a feeling I might be in for a tough project. So hopefully we'll have a trailer by the new year, and I can spend the rest of winter and the first part of spring building it so that I can get it ready for summer. Because I have some really cool plans of camping all over Western Europe, so I really want to make sure that we get our trailer done by the summer. And a couple weeks ago, I finally got my new to me car in the UK, and one of the criteria that I had to have in a car was, can it tow? And so I got this car specifically because it can tow, amongst some other things, like heated seats. If you live in a cold climate, you know that heated seats are a must. So I've got the car ready for towing, and I've also got the RoofNest all ready to go. Right now, sadly, it is just propped up against our house until we can find a better place to put it. Before you ask, the reason why I don't want to go camping in the winter is that I don't like camping in the rain, and that's basically guaranteed if you're going to be camping anywhere in the UK or in most of Western Europe for the winter. I wouldn't call myself exactly a fair weather camper, but I am definitely more of a dry camper. I don't mind camping in cold weather, and a lot of that in Northern California and in Wyoming and Montana, but I'm most definitely not a fan of camping in the rain and the mud. That's why I would prefer to be camping in the summer. So I know that this was a shorter video. I'm still very busy getting settled into my new life in the UK. I just wanted to kind of give you an update on everything with the RoofNest and the plans that we have for the future and for the channel. So I'd love it if you would subscribe and stay tuned for all the adventures to come. Remember to leave it better than you found it, and I'll see you next time. And I also super glued the rubber tits. Oh my god, tits.